welcome to High Pressure Graffiti Podcast. This is Caesar here, and we have our special guest apart from FGSBAFU. You want to take the stage and let people what you're doing in your life?
Yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate the time. I'm excited to be on here. Obviously, I'm out here on the West Coast. I'm in Southern California, born and raised in the Bay, and I represent FGS, BA, and FU. Been painting trains for a while, and some other things when I can here and there.
Yeah, I gotta say it's a pretty awesome thing for you to be, on the show right now because you're a pretty big monumental part of graffiti, at least in my life. You guys were a big influence, especially me being, from the Bay as well.
Nice. Well, thanks for that. I mean, we try not to tell people to go out and spray paint on things, but sometimes, it just happens.
Yeah, actually, I lived in Santa Clara County. It's like where I grew up, so I saw like a lot of all like the prime '90s, like the heydays of the trains rolling through.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I grew up actually in San Mateo County up in the San Francisco area, and that's where I kind of started, really kind of noticing graffiti, and then, kind of moved down to Southern California. But painted my first trains actually up in the Bay Area in South San Francisco in about 1995.
Awesome. Yeah, I was a little too young for the time. I started in 2006, and I had already made my way to the central valley of California, and that's where I kind of like ran into other guys from FGS like Nist, and
Oh,
like
sure.
yeah, Nist is he's a big influence in my life too.
The Fresno King right there. That's my boy.
And
Yeah, I mean, he's I mean, style master. I mean, I don't think there's many people that could truly touch what Nis is doing on trains
no,
or walls for that matter.
yeah, no, they're both really exceptional writers, and they've really brought a lot to the table and like developed new styles altogether. They're pioneer of the Fresno style for a lot of it.
Oh, for sure.
But who would you say was like your biggest influence when you were coming up, as far
Uh,
as the crews you were seeing?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I mean, obviously a lot of stuff influenced me when I was up in the Bay Area. I saw, back in the day, what I call back in the day, kind of the early 90s. And I know it sounds funny, but there was a crew, US crew up in the Bay Area, and it was like Orphan and Marvel and Reverse and Busy and Jade and a lot of those guys. And I got a lot of influence just seeing those guys just out bombing and just kind of running shit. They were definitely a huge influence. Obviously the BA guys that I saw a lot up in the Bay, huge influence for me as well.
Like High,
And oh yeah, High Cha, big influence. Felon, Jace,
Soap.
Soap, oh big time. Billy Braun, Soap, yeah, absolutely. My boy Gesso, huge influence also. Love always seeing Gesso's stuff. That was for me big. And then obviously Twist. I mean, Twist was killing shit, and his hand styles and throw ups and characters back in the early and middle 90s were just untouchable.
Yeah, and back in the '90s, it is like a great time to be painting graffiti and trains. Like trains just had like productions on them like left and right, as far as I could remember. Nowadays, I think it's kind of deteriorated a little bit. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, well, even when we started painting a lot of trains in the mid 90s and towards later 90s, I mean, you can go into a freight yard and find a lot of clean trains. I mean, a lot. The majority of them were clean. And so, you'd see a couple productions here and there, and that was great to see. And even when we would bench back in the day, I mean, there's a lot of clean trains, a lot of BS, and then you'd get a couple really nice productions here or there. Now, every train's bomb, from OG riders, which is great to still see Kick and my homie Big Five and a lot of the older heads still out there doing really nice productions. But then you have a lot of those like anti-style guys that are out there just kind of hogging up panels that maybe they shouldn't be hogging up.
Yeah, it kind of seems like people are kind of fighting more over panels nowadays when it comes to the train yards, and all the spots are definitely getting hit. We kind of touched on that in like the last episode. Do you think it's also harder to paint trains now than it has been in the past?
I just think it's harder because there's more people doing it. So there's less spots to go and do it. And what we've noticed is that we used to have all kinds of different layups back in the day. But now those layups are dry. They've even taken out some tracks. And it just seems like things aren't shipped on freight as much as they used to. And because of that, we've seen things dry up. But I have noticed that, there's still always the bull and the police, doing their thing. But I haven't noticed the police raiding as much as they used to. So I got to be honest, back when we were painting towards the late 90s, I mean, God, we were getting raided by police and bulls and, the ghetto bird. And it was really hard to paint trains. And that was beyond the fact that, like today, where you just have toys and just lots of people painting it. Back then, there weren't as many people painting it, but the yards were just more difficult. And gangsters, I mean, gangsters were crazy too. I can't even tell you how many times that I've had run-ins with gangsters and chased out of yards and guns pulled on me, and just crazy shit happened.
Yeah, I think now the yards have calmed down a little bit as far as like how it was in the '90s, because I mean you still run into like some gangsters in the yard, but it's not very common. Mostly I just run into like tweakers or people like train bums that think they own the yard or something.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, we still see tweakers all the time. It was kind of funny. One of the last times I was actually painting in the yard, I was with a bunch of people from FGS. It was like me and a rec and Spot and a few others of us, and there were just some tweakers in the yard, just getting loud and noisy, screaming, and it's like what the hell are they doing in the freight yard? Like, go somewhere else to go smoke your meth.
Yeah, exactly. But sometimes you can't always communicate that to them, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
But so how long would you say you've been painting for? Like maybe like all
Um,
together?
so started, like I said earlier, started trains in 1995, where I painted my first one Christmas Day, actually in 1995. But been tagging at least on the streets and doing things like that since about 1992.
Okay, so probably like a good like 25, almost 30 years now, huh?
Yep. Next year will probably be 30 years. Next year will be 25 years of FGS as well. So we're all getting old.
That's gotta be crazy to be able to say that. You know, it's been 13 years for me now, and it feels like it hasn't been that long.
Yeah. Yep.
It's crazy how fast time goes by. But
That's for sure.
also, what do you think has changed in the scene over the past few years that you've been writing? Have you noticed any major differences?
Yeah, I mean, the thing about graffiti is that it used to be like this subculture that we were all involved in. It was kind of like you had like the secret handshake and, not really a secret handshake, but it was kind of like our own little niche subculture. Graffiti now has become very mainstream, where you see like Nike and, you just saw some things happen a little while ago where North Face stole some stuff from Futura, and, it's just become very mainstream. And, the stuff that happened with Revoke and H&M, it's just, it used to not be like that. Graffiti used to be like risque. It was like, it was just illegal, and it was kind of just swept under the rug, and it was like I said earlier, our own little subculture. Now it's very mainstream and it's very different, right? Graffiti is it's more accepted than it's ever been.
I would say that's definitely the case, as I have some friends that, went down to Venice and painted, and, I found like models posing in front of their photos. We're talking about it in the last episode. Yeah, it's kind of gone like street arty, and it's like this cool thing now for a lot of
Yeah, I
people.
mean, to me, I mean, I still paint legal walls here and there just because I love to paint. But to me, real graffiti is going out and painting something illegally. Like, I love trains. I still love bombing on the streets. I still love tagging on stuff. I mean, tagging to me is kind of where graffiti started. So I always will have a spot in my heart for tagging on stuff. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think that it's really important to have a good hand style too, because it shows more of like what you're able to do later. It's your
Yeah.
first impression.
Yep. Absolutely.
And I think a dream always said that make sure your hand styles are always dope, because people want to see more of what you can do.
Yeah. It's great. Yeah. That's a great point.
But do you think the styles have changed at all since like like the '90s? Like people were like going away from the funk, or like
Yeah, I mean, I think that when I was starting to come up, I mean, to me, piecing was kind of the bar style, right? It's just kind of everything fit together, and like if you look at my stuff, a lot of times like things connect somehow, and that's to me was always like a piece, and like got like an arrow on there. But now it's like people are just kind of deconstructing graffiti, and it kind of is very different now, where it's kind of street arty and it's kind of bubbly, and it reminds me of like almost like the early '70s sometimes when I see some graffiti today. And I'm like, wow, it's like it almost feels like we're regressing from a style perspective and going back to the '70s when I feel we should be going forward. And there's a lot of writers that are taking it to the next level and moving forward, but you still see some writers kind of taking it back in time, which I don't know. To me, it's not really my thing. I mean, I'm not going to knock somebody from doing it, but I just kind of like more of the forward thinking kind of style masters out there.
Yeah, I think being a leathersmith is really important and having a good leather structure. But I mean, who knows? Uh, ignorance might be bliss, and these guys might develop something new.
Who knows? And the funny thing is, like, some of these guys probably in a couple years will probably be some famous artists that you've never heard of before, but their graffiti was terrible. But then they come out with some weird artwork and they start selling it for millions of dollars. I mean, shit like that happens. And, that's why I can't knock some of these guys, because they're probably going to make more money than me and doing graffiti for half the time that I have. And they're going to have this anti style approach. And it works for them. And sometimes the art galleries like it. And sometimes, people that are buying art like it too. And they can make money off it. But, it's not really my thing. But hey, if
Yeah.
people can make money off it, then go for it.
Well, that's not really the end goal with graffiti. Is to be a loved artist and sell your art. It should be a niche thing, like you were saying, and should only be your work should only be accepted within the community, or at least in the benching community too. I
Yeah,
notice there's a
exactly.
lot more benchers nowadays than there's ever been.
Oh, that's the thing that amazes me on Instagram. Like, even back in the day, like in the mid to late '90s, we would talk to some benchers, and there were some people out there, and there were like chat groups, and we would write letters to them and stuff, and they'd send us pictures. But now, since everybody's on like Instagram or some sort of social media, it's like everybody's a bencher these days. And sometimes these benchers, a lot of them have never painted any graffiti in their lives, but they're out there and they got thousands and thousands of followers on Instagram, and that's all they do is bench. I mean, it's interesting. I mean, and some of them take their families and do it, and that's kind of cool. But I couldn't really imagine doing that myself without actually painting graffiti. I mean, that's why I kind of go out there to bench. Is I want to see my friends. I want to see our stuff running. I want to see our crews running. I want to see who's running the lines. I want to see who's doing new and impressive stuff.
Yeah, me too. And I think it kind of brings us back like to the old school flavor of graffiti. Like when I was coming up, I saw basically like all the TLT Bakersfield shit.
Oh
A lot
yeah.
of BA, a lot of YME tits. Like I basically saw that basically running down the 101 every day because my school was right next to the 101. So I really got exposed to a lot of dope graffiti in the mid to late 90s. And
Those TLT videos were definitely an influence on me. I mean, I was fortunate enough to actually get to meet those guys and become friends with some of those guys in the late '90s. But in the early '90s, in the mid '90s, when they were putting out the TLT videos, like that was the shit, man. Like that was
yeah,
like the top stuff right there. Like Fate and Hash and Roston, the stuff those guys were putting out was fucking awesome. And just the stuff they were putting in the videos, the cars they were getting, the solid colds, like those are some of my favorite cars of all times. Were the cars they were getting to paint back then. And I was fortunate enough to get to paint, a bunch of solid colds and UPFEs and SPFEs and Western Fruit Expresses in my life. But in Bakersfield, I mean, it ran thick out there in terms of
yeah.
the Fruit Expresses.
Yeah, I guess it's like their main junction before they go like all the way to like down to Los Angeles and
Oh
distribute. And
yeah,
there's a lot of farming out there, so it makes sense that they have a lot of up fees out there.
totally. Early 2000s. I mean, Learn and myself and a couple others from FGS, we would go out there and paint all the time out in Bakersfield. And unfortunately, there was a run-in that we had in Shafter, and all the boys got caught except for me. I was the one guy that got
Oh,
away in Shafter,
oh
but
no.
definitely learned my lesson on painting in Shafter. And then we had a great little layup out there. But those guys went to jail for a while painting out there. And like I said, I was the one guy to get away. And man, that was a hell of a chase.
Did you guys just get spotted or something?
Well, what ended up happening is that we were done painting, and Learn went to go get the car to pick us all up because there wasn't a place to actually park by the layup. And I guess the cops had seen him go to the car. They followed him back into the yard. So we all got in the car to go. And then as soon as, we all got in the car, the cops literally pulled right behind us, flashed lights and everything. I was the one guy that said, fuck this, I'm getting out of the car. And I bolted. So I
Yeah.
started running. I ran into the yard. And there was an 8-hour long chase. And luckily one of my, good friends at the time that actually was the founder of FGS with me, Kenner, I called him up at like 5 in the morning. I'm like, hey, dude, everybody got pinched. I know you're in LA. Can you come pick me up out in Bakersfield? I'm hiding in a porta potty. So, so luckily he and his wife came to get me. And, she went back to the hotel, luckily, and cleaned out of the hotel because we had a couple hundred cans of spray paint in there and cleaned out like all the shit we had in there. And literally, as we were driving out of the hotel from cleaning everything out, the cops were coming in to go raid the hotel room.
Holy
So yeah,
shit.
yeah,
That's
crazy
wild.
crazy stuff out in the Shafter Bakersfield area. And I always told myself, I'm like, I'm never painting Shafter ever again.
It seems like law enforcement and, like the rail workers back in the day took it a whole lot more personal when you were painting the trains versus how they do now.
That's the truth, man. I mean, workers now sometimes they're okay with it once in a while. And there's actually, to be quite honest, we have some workers in FGS that are actually train workers. So who have keys to train yards and things like that. So it's a little bit easier for us sometimes, but there are still those workers out there once in a while that trip. But it's very different today than it was back then, where a worker would fucking jump on top of your ass just to bag you and hand you over to the bull.
Yeah. Well, what kind of etiquette do you have for, people that are painting trains?
What do you mean by that?
Like, there's a lot of people that are going into the yards and just kind of blowing it.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Let's
So
talk about like house rules.
yeah, house rules, don't come in my front yard, first of all. Don't come in my layup, and then you'll be okay. Second of all, if I do catch you in my layup, and if I catch you littering in my layup, caps, fucking cans, fucking beer cans, anything that's gonna let people know that a human being was there doing something, that's like an instant you're on the fucking blacklist, dude. You don't want to do that. The other thing is, I see kids these days, and it blows my fucking mind. They have their iPhones. They're using them as boom boxes in a fucking train yard at nighttime. They're using their flashlights to look at their lines and shit. It's like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, this is a train yard. Like, rough it. You got to tough it out. It's like, it's supposed to be dark for a reason. You got the moon. Like, figure it out. If you want to paint in the daytime, then find your chill yard and wherever you're going to find it and go do something in the daytime. But, if you're painting at nighttime, you got to just follow the rules. And the other thing is, I don't want people, like I said, coming into my trainers, but if you do come and I catch you there, like maybe one or two of you guys. When I see fucking 12 people at a layup, that kills me. It just absolutely kills me. So it's just respect the layup, respect the yard. They're going away. They're not creating, for the most part, new freight layups. So the ones we have are precious.
Yeah, and I've noticed that like a lot of the layups are pretty much known. I've been using railroad maps for like the past 7 years hunting trains,
Yep.
and I learned how to use railroad maps up in Washington, and I moved back to California, and shit is way different here.
Oh yeah, and we have railroad. The funny thing is, like, Learn and I used to do that same thing. We had railroad maps, and we would go, we'd hunt new layups and stuff. But now, a lot of times when you're looking at those railroad maps, especially if they're old, data's not good anymore. It's like you got to go on Google Earth to really figure out if shit's still there or not.
Yeah, cause or if they've put new buildings around it, or if they put a parking lot right next to the train yard. I've found instances like that. Where it
Totally.
used to be like a field, and then they put a brand new parking lot right next to the rails.
Yep.
I'm
Happens
just
all the
like,
time.
yeah, and then now that yard is pretty much is gonna be a lot riskier to paint
Yep.
if you can get in there, because now they're fortifying everything, and you have spurs that are disappearing daily. If you look at what happened to the Southern Pacific line in California, they ripped out the 30 miles of track out by Los Banos.
Yeah, totally. I mean, like I said, they're not really creating new layups anymore. Things are going away. So that's
Yeah.
why every layup we have is precious.
Yeah, and I think it's really important for people to know how to respect the yard, because there's a lot of people blowing it nowadays,
Yep, for
and they
sure.
think it's like a party. I've seen like videos of people like, yeah, using like headlamps and like using like playing music in the yard and stuff. Even in the daytime, I'm just like, dude.
Yeah, and I'm like the one asshole. Like my crew will tell you, like if you ask Adge or any of the guys that I paint with and we're in the yard, I'm the one asshole that sees the kids in the yard with a fucking flashlight or a boombox, and sometimes there might be 6 or 7 of them, and it's me going over there telling them like, put that shit away. Like seriously. Most of the time they listen to me, which is good. But once in a while you get like the rogue kid that just doesn't want to listen to me, and then I just get really fucking mad.
Yeah.
So it's like, just get your shit together. Like, come on.
Yeah, it's like you try to be cool with them, but it's like they don't know, because they didn't really grow up in the time or witness anything. A lot of kids that are coming up don't have any mentors, which is kind of a bad thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're probably gonna have like some. They're gonna be painting for a while, and they're gonna get weeded out by it, or they're just gonna stay toy forever.
Yep, for sure.
But no, it's interesting to see how things are panning out compared to like how they are back in the day, and it's cool to get like a perspective from someone who actually lived it.
Thank you.
Yeah, but so how do you feel about let me think for a second. I had a question that was gonna slip my mind, but shit. So obviously, you think social media is a problem when it comes to graffiti?
It has its ups and its downs. I think for the most part, it's a problem. Yeah, and I'm not saying that I'm not on social media because I am. I mean, you guys can follow me at a party underscore FGS underscore BA underscore FU. But it's just some people just live and die for social media. And back in the day when we used to paint, man, it's like we painted for ourselves and for people to go bench us, and then we would literally like send photo packs and stuff back and forth to one another, like across the country. You know, so now it's a little bit easier to share what you're doing, but sometimes it's a little bit like too much. Like all people care about is social media, drama and whatever else they're trying to do on there. And then if you make like a stupid comment, like the other day, like I made a comment, and it was just hilarious because I'm from the old school where if I call something gay, it's not because I'm a homophobe or I don't
Right.
have gay friends. I have a lot of gay friends, but if I say something's gay, it kind of means lame. And I actually made that comment on Instagram about a picture, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, a part's a homophobe. How could you say that?" It's like that's not what I'm saying. It's slang. I'm saying it's gay because it's lame. I'm not
Yeah.
saying like I don't like homosexual people. I'm just saying that. So social media, it's really tough sometimes to express an opinion because people think that you're an asshole or something just for saying a word that's out of context. That's my problem with social media sometimes. And it's just the fact that people blow spots on social media also. People
Yeah,
are
that's
filming
true.
where they're painting, they're showing people where these spots are. It's like, come on, people. The cops are all over Instagram, Facebook, all these social media channels trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, I think they also like proved like the CIA watches you on Facebook and Instagram too. So
Totally.
I mean, as much as we think it's secure, it's not secure. They could raid us any
No,
minute, pretty much.
totally. Shit's not secure at all. So just be careful what you do out there, especially some of those daredevil guys out there doing heavens and crazy things in the daytime. It's like, guys, just be careful. I mean, I love all that daredevil graffiti. Don't get me wrong, but I don't want to go to jail over that stuff. I mean, I got a family and stuff at this point. So
Yeah, I think some of the new guys like Savvy and you know like guys like that are like really impressive. Like what they're doing. Those are
oh no,
kind
that guy gets a lot of credit, man. That guy's up everywhere. I mean, I see that guy everywhere. It's great to see his stuff. I like how he does a lot of black and whites too. So
yeah, and there's a lot of people that are actually holding it down in the freight scene that are they were brought up right too, and that's cool to see them as upcomers killing it too.
yeah, no, totally. I mean, there's a lot of the thing that interests me the most. So there's a lot of people that from my generation that are still painting trains and still crushing it, right? You got like Jabber out there that's still
Yeah.
keeping the tradition alive, and Kick and Big Five and a lot of the FGS crew. We're all old. A lot of us are still out there painting. I don't paint as much as the rest of my crew, but Adge is out there painting all the time. And you got a Wreck out there painting all the time, and there's Crude for my crew out in the East Coast. He's out there painting all the time, holding it down, and we're all old, man. I mean, we're all past 40 years old and still doing it, which is great to see. And it's also good to see some of the younger guys that are coming up that are doing it the right way, also. And I'm happy to see that some of them are respecting the yards and doing clean stuff. So
Yeah, I'm usually pretty like secretive about my operations and my spots, and I only trust like very slim amount of people. Like, I'm not sure if it's more like I'm judgy or if I've just set myself to a higher standard based off of what the example was set for me.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
And no, I think it's cool to actually see people out there killing it. Like I'm gonna do an interview with my friend Motion from AD Crew, and he's one of the biggest writers out right now. And he probably hasn't been in the game as long as you guys.
Yeah, no, I mean, we see that dude, Canas is actually, I think that's how you pronounce his name. He's doing a bunch of clean top to bottoms on auto racks, and he's doing a lot of good stuff. So I like seeing him. And our buddy Volume is doing some good stuff. And, I like seeing that as well. And, I love seeing some of the younger guys just kind of holding it down and doing new and creative stuff.
Yeah, you think the rails have been a little bit more inviting nowadays?
I think they're just more inviting just because of social media also. Like everybody sees Instagram and everybody thinks, "Hey, I can go and do that." So everybody thinks the rails are pretty inviting. But to me, it's kind of interesting because it's inviting, but it isn't, right? You'll find a spot that you think is great, so it's inviting. You want to go all the time, but it's great until it's not. It's great until the bull rolls in or the cops roll in, and then all of a sudden that spot isn't so great and inviting anymore.
Yeah, and sometimes you think you know a spot, and then shit can change on a dime on you too.
Yep, totally.
And I've had that happen to me a few times. I painted this one layup for about a year, and then I thought I was getting over on it because I was getting so many panels out of it. And then when I bring my friend, right when I feel comfortable to start, bringing a friend, we get rolled on. And I'm just like, maybe that spot's not as chill as I thought it was. Maybe I just got lucky.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
And there's a lot of that. I don't think like we might feel like we run spots, but realistically, we don't run spots.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think in California, it's a lot harder to paint here than it is in like other states. When I was in Washington, it was just way chill. Like you could just like go anywhere and paint in Washington and find trains.
Yeah, it's definitely not like that here in California, that's for sure. But my boy Spot kills trains, kills them, and he still manages to get over and do a lot of trains still, and he's in California. So I give him a lot of credit because he's putting up a lot of numbers when it's difficult to. But you got like people like 125, where 125 shit. I mean, paints like 1,000 trains a year. He gets over on it, and he's here in California. He's injured right now, but I'm sure he'll be back on the lines at some point soon. So hey, 125, I hope you're listening. Get well soon. But he'll probably, once he's healthy again, start putting out another 1,000 again every year here in
Yeah,
California.
yeah. There's no excuse not to. But I don't know. Like I notice like if I'm doing like a burner where I'm taking like my time and trying to make it like really clean, that sometimes I have to spend longer in the yard than I want to, and that's always a bigger risk factor, especially now.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, no, it's cool to see dope work and the ends coming out of California. Still, it's not completely dried up around here, but some cities are just too hot now.
Oh yeah, I mean some cities are just ridiculously hot, even when it comes to trains. So I mean, even when I go on vacation to try to paint, I try to go somewhere where I know it's going to be chill.
Yeah, you get out and travel enough.
Not as much as I used to, but I'm hoping to again now that things are mellowing out with coronavirus.
Yeah, that was kind of put a damper on traveling and exploring stuff. I'm trying to get out towards like the East Coast and see what's out there. It looks pretty chill and inviting. A lot of daytime spots out there, but yeah, I think finding daytime spots in California has gotten a lot harder.
It has. It has. I mean, you can do a lot of spots in the daytime. It's just, do you really want to do them in the daytime, right? Do you want to make the spot hot, or would you rather just do it nighttime when you know it's going to be chill, you're going to get away, so you gotta kind of, it's a little bit of balancing act.
I think you have to learn how to adapt yourself as a good writer. Instead of making excuses, you need to like maybe take a different approach at like how you paint a full color piece at night, rather than just saying that you can't see at night. Like
Yeah, exactly.
I
The funny thing is, I actually feel more comfortable painting trains at nighttime.
Yeah, so do I. I feel way more comfortable painting trains at nighttime. But I've noticed, like, instead of, like, I don't need a yard that actually has reflective light or splash light off of buildings nowadays. I noticed that I'm getting to the point where I can just paint with contrast and picking my colors selectively to aid in the process. And
Yep,
I
absolutely.
think that that's something that people need to learn how to do rather than just going into the yard with a headlamp or a light, just blowing it up.
Yeah, for sure.
And I don't know. Have you seen any like weird things in the yard in your life?
Oh my God, I don't even know where to start. Jeez. I mean, we've seen so much crazy shit happen in train yards. I mean, I don't. I mean, I still remember when Big Five and I used to paint this yard called Bandini back in the mid to late '90s. We would always see crazy, just weirdos in the yard and work bums. And I remember one time we were in the yard and we heard this crazy noise come out of this bucket. And I was like, "What the fuck is that noise? Like that's crazy!" Like what's in that bucket? And so I went over there and kicked this bucket, and like a bat flew out of it, just fucking flew away, and it was all crazy. I'm like, holy shit, it's a bat. And the same train yard actually is the one that we had to swim down the LA River to get away from the police. Actually, one time we got raided.
That sounds sketchy.
Yeah, that, yeah, that definitely was an interesting experience swimming down the LA River for sure.
Getting
Um,
impelled by like rebar or some shit.
just we had all kinds of weird bugs crawling on us afterwards. I got a tetanus shot after that. Like, we're just lucky we got away. I don't even know how we did get away. Because we actually were painting in this yard, and they'd set up one of these things, and I think it was called like a silver cloud. Like, it looked like a subway car. It was like a dining car or whatever. And we were like, what the fuck is this thing doing in the freight yard? So one of my friends called me, actually Pleck at the time, and he's like, hey, he goes, in Bandini, there's a subway car laid up in there. I'm like, yeah, right. He goes, no, seriously, there's a car in there. I'm like, okay, well, we're all going to go paint it tonight then. So we all went in there, and we were pretty deep. We were probably like 9 deep or something, because, we were going to paint both sides of it. And literally, right as I was done, I didn't get to tag my crews yet, we got raided. And I'm talking raided big time from both directions. And I was like, holy fuck. And luckily, there was a line that was kind of moving slow, and it was all intermodals. So I jumped over it, and we all kind of jumped over it, and the cops weren't kind of as crafty as we were and jumping in between trains, and so we were able to get out and get down this little hill and get into the river by the time the cops went and got past the intermodal. Now they had flashlights and were looking for us, and we literally went under the fucking water, like faces and everything under the water in the LA River, so they couldn't see us, and they were looking everywhere for us.
That's crazy.
Then the river started to move pretty fast, and there was a tree we had to grab to like get us out, and then we had to flag down a taxi, and he didn't want to drive us, and it was a long fucking story to get back. But the good thing is we all got away.
Yeah, that's good. You got away from that. That sounds like some hellish turmoil just unfolding. Yeah, I don't think I've had any crazy chases like that. That
We've had
sounded
a
like a
couple where we
setup,
got
though.
caught too, unfortunately. I got caught twice in the train yard. So, the second time it was me and Ole, and we had this crazy fucking chase, hour long, hidden the bushes for 2 hours. We thought we made it away, got back to Ole's car. We were driving out. We both gave each other a pound. We're like, yeah, we got out of this. Literally like 2 seconds after that, like fucking cops from every direction pulled us over, and we're like, guess we didn't get away. And they fucking got us.
Damn. Yeah,
Yep.
that's insane.
Yep.
That must have sucked, actually, having to go through like court and trials and all that shit.
Yeah, that one sucked. And there was another time it was me and Con and Kenner, and we were painting in one of the yards off the 5 freeway down in Orange County. Got raided, and man, it was crazy because like people would come through in this yard sometimes, like shoot at the trains with guns and shit, and we would hear like bullets ricocheting off the boxcars sometimes. So like just crazy shit would happen. But like one time we got raided and we had to run under the freeway. Luckily there was like this sewage like thing that we ran through. They were like with the ghetto bird looking for us everywhere, and luckily we got out of that one. But that one was another close call, and I probably got like 50 of those. One time a homeless lady hid Big Five, Prey, Olay, and I for hours while the cops tried to get us, and she actually hid us in her little like tent thing, and like the cops are like, where are they? She totally was like, they ran that way, and she saved our ass, and like we gave her a bunch of money and shit for that afterwards. But like I said, I got too many unfortunate stories like that.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool story that a homeless person is just like stuck their neck out to like save you guys. You
Totally,
don't
it was
really
awesome.
hear about stuff like that anymore. Now they're just kind of a nuisance in the yard.
Yeah, exactly. Back in the day, we used to know the homeless people in a lot of the yards, and we'd bring them beer, and they'd keep lookout for us and shit, and it was great.
Yeah, no, it was a different time compared to how it is now for sure.
Oh yeah, totally.
But I think if you have the heart to do it still, I mean, you can definitely get over and have a good time. And that's like why I do it, is just to like have a good time.
I do it for me, it like relieves stress. I know it sounds funny, but like my wife will tell me when I'm just being an asshole, she's like, you need to go paint a train. I'm like, yep. And like afterwards, I feel just so much better. I don't know what it is, but like it's just like almost like a relief. It's kind of like you let out like a big sigh afterwards, like like you kind of got it out. It just
It,
feels good.
yeah, it's like you get like antsy and shit if you don't paint, or you like I get that issue. It's like I get antsy if I don't paint. I get irritable if I don't paint because I don't know, something about it. It just makes you feel alive at that moment, and you're the only person in that moment at that time
Yeah, totally.
doing that thing, which is that's one of the cool things about it. And the fame and recognition is cool too, but I feel like that that should like come after. That shouldn't be your main priority is fame. But I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I do like seeing myself getting benched.
Yeah, I mean, the funny thing is when I get benched, I like seeing just what state the train currently is. Like how faded is the paint? Where'd they put the reflectors? Did they stamp something on top of me that shouldn't be there? Like that's what I look for most of the time when I get benched, to be quite honest. Like it's still out there rolling around. Like that's what excites me the most. And even like when they don't fuck with it, I'm like they put the reflectors in a good spot. Like I did a good job taping off everything so they didn't fuck with me at all. Like then I start feeling a lot better about things.
Yeah, I always try to, like you said, like taping off numbers and like data, like lift jack here and shit like that. I make sure that I don't go over any form of data at all. That way, I know that I have a better chance of my piece lasting a lot longer, unless it just gets dissed.
Totally. Yep.
But
Absolutely.
there's a lot of people dissing stuff on the rails right now, unfortunately.
Yep. There's a lot of people out there doing it. There's a lot of even old writers out there going over people they shouldn't be going over. Saying that something was dissed in the yard, so they went over it when it really wasn't dissed. I mean, we've caught some people recently doing some things they shouldn't be doing. So.
Yeah, if I see something old, I'll definitely leave it alone for sure. Like when I see something from the '90s, you could like tell, like if it was dope or if it was just like some really old toy shit. Like you can tell like right away just by the style, the way that the paint's faded, and you can tell like if there was a lot of paint there, if there wasn't a lot of paint there. But I've
Yeah.
heard like just excuses like, oh, it was dark and I couldn't see. And it's like,
That's the one that kills me. Yeah, it's fucking dark. Sure. Uh-huh.
well then
Yep.
how'd you fucking paint if it was so dark?
Exactly, exactly. Or it was dissed, and someone saw that train a week ago and it was running just fine. It's like, no, it wasn't dissed. You dissed it. Like, come on, let's be real
Yeah,
here.
exactly. You just went over it because you wanted that spot.
Yep.
And like, I get the diss thing, but if something is dissed, I'll take a picture of it and post it to like show that it's dissed, and then I'll go over it. Like if it's like unfixable.
Yeah, exactly. If it's a friend of mine and I can fix it, I'll try to fix it.
Yeah,
Like, I'd rather them run out of there, roll out of there with, their piece that rolled in there, but looking better than when it rolled in there, and take a picture, show my friend, like, here you go, because I hope they would do the same for me.
yeah, exactly. Because it's like you can't once that train leaves your town, there's not much you can really do to control it after. It's gonna go on a journey of its own. So
Yep.
like if I see like I always tell people like if I see any like dist like Ichabod or like Mecro or anything, I'm just gonna fucking fix their shit because that's not gonna happen on my watch.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I
Like I
feel
got one out there that just got dissed from 2015, and it just got dissed. Like my A is dissed, and I hope if someone sees this train, they can fix that A for me because it's Adge, it's Clowns from Tits Crew, and it's me, and I'm the only one that got dissed on my A. So I'm like, fuck. I hope someone can fix that when they see it.
so I was pretty stoked to meet Clowns back in 2010 when he was doing the wall in Santa Cruz. Dude's
That guy's a great dude. What a nice guy that guy is. I love
he's
that guy.
super nice. I met him and Diet HTK and Retro and I think Jaws was there too.
Okay, yeah, I know Retro well. Love that dude. Muse is a great guy. I mean, I like all those guys. They're all good people.
Yeah, yeah, no, they're all really cool people to talk to. But yeah, no, clowns was just like really inviting and like really encouraging too. Cause at that time I wasn't toy, but I was like in between like being toy and getting good. So I kind of like felt like I was just stuck there, and he just kind of like pulled me aside and he just like showed me what's up, and I was just like hanging out with Diet and Clowns, and they're like, "You want to go to the bar?" I'm like, "Shit, dude, I'm only like 19."
Ha,
I'm like, I can't get into the Red Room, but it was a cool experience to actually run into old writers like that.
nice.
But I want to meet guys like King and I saw Dare that was fucking painting out in fucking I think it was like the Modesto area. They're doing like a production out there. I'm like, shit, that would be so cool to go to.
Yeah, no, Dare's definitely a legend, man. Like Some of my favorite trains back in the day, were like the TWS guys and, Dare and Picasso and Aladdin. Like Picasso and Aladdin to me, like a lot of people don't talk about those guys, early San
Picasso's
Jose
sick.
riders. Like, dude, the auto racks they were doing are fucking legendary, would still smoke most of the shit on the rails today.
They're like 3/4 whole cars, all wild style burners.
Yeah, yeah, man, for sure.
It was
Love seeing
insane
that
what they
stuff.
were doing back then.
Yeah, and it's good to see Dare still painting, doing super fresh stuff. Super good guy. Love seeing his new stuff for sure. So love all his old stuff too.
Yeah, no, it's really cool to see old guys like that like coming out and like pioneers of the scene coming out and just killing it.
Yep, for sure.
And nothing's really changed with those guys. They still stick to their habitual habits of using Rusto, and they don't complain about it, and they show everyone else up at the wall that's using new fancy paint.
Yep, absolutely.
I think we were talking about it the other night that everyone and anyone's got their own paint company now.
Totally. I'm pretty loyal just because my boy Jace runs Montana for the most part here in the U.S. So I paint with a lot of Montana just because that's my homie.
Yeah.
But if I'm not using Montana, then it's probably Rusto. But we did come across a shitload of Maltol about a year or two ago. That was like 2 for $5. So we bought like thousands of fucking those cans, and I still have some, still works good. But my number one go-to is Montana, just because I'm loyal to my friends.
Yeah, I've been hearing good things about Malta, but I've never tried it. I've basically only painted with just Rusto, and I've never tried Iron Lac. I've tried Flame, which I guess is Malta, but mostly Montana and Rusto for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, I still love my Rusto too. There's still a lot of Rusto colors that I like a lot. That's for sure.
You don't feel like hardware store paint can limit you at all?
It just depends. I mean, if I'm gonna go paint a freight train and spend my time doing it and risk my neck doing it, I want my paint to run as long as it possibly can. So, I'm not saying that hardware stores paint is bad, like some of that 99 cent and $2 stuff, because some of it isn't bad, and some of it's good. But I just want to make sure that what I'm going to put on there is the thickest stuff that's going to give me the most longevity possible. So that's why I go to my go-to stuff, like Montana, Rusto, and Belton. I mean, in terms of Molotov, they last. I mean, those three brands last a long time on trains. Iron Lac is like pissing on a train. That stuff just fucking fades away. Like I would never use an Iron Lac on a train ever. Like not ever. I know a lot of people do it, and hey, you guys can do it, and a lot of people are sponsored by Iron Lac, and it's just fine. But there's a lot of pieces out there that fade really quick from Iron Lac and Loop. Some of that paint, just be careful. If you're, like I said, if you're gonna go out and risk your ass and do that, use a paint that's gonna last the longest it possibly can.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of paint, a lot of like grainers painted with like Iron Lac Yardmaster, and they claim like it's durable paint, and the paint just faded in like what 5 years, just
Yeah,
completely faded away.
yeah, exactly.
I saw it the other night in the yard. There's a video I watched on YouTube about like in 2014, and I see the piece now. I'm like, damn, everything just looks gray.
Yeah, I remember Juro ICR posted some stuff he did with Iron Lac a couple years ago, and like I was like, I don't even remember. A very short period of time later, the train came back and it was all faded, and he posted that. He's like, "This is why you don't use Iron Lac on trains."
Yeah, I noticed that you have a pretty good collection of old school Krylon. I'm starting to build my collection up too.
Yeah, no, I do. I have a lot of old Krylon and Rusto and wet paints and wet looks, and I need a couple more to complete my 68 Krylon collection. I don't think I'll ever get there because there's a couple cans that I just think I'll never be able to get. But I got a lot of stuff like hot raspberry, icy grape, mint greens, and jungle greens, and surf greens and Nile greens, and a lot of old Krylons. But there's a pennant blue that's evading me that I don't think I'll ever be able to get because one actually sold on eBay a little while ago for more than $5,000.
That's nuts. So
Yep.
it's gonna
So
be like the highest selling can out of that.
ever. So I need a pennant blue to complete my 68 collection, and I need a pineapple yellow. I mean, I have a pineapple yellow paper wrap pry top, but I don't have the 68 pineapple. So those are the two I really need. There's a nice 66 can that I would love to have in terms of daisy yellow, but they're tough to get. So I think that my collection for the most part is pretty much as far as it's going to go, but I'm always on the hunt trying to see if I can find, those toucans that I need. But I do have a couple doubles out there of mint green and jungle green, and in case I do find someone that has some stuff they want to trade, I got some stuff that I'm willing to part with. So
Yeah, I'm always on the hunt too. I just picked up like a grape not that long ago, and I have an American Beauty red that I'm pretty fond of too. But
nice.
but when would you say that you noticed that Krylon just started just diving and took a shit in as far as quality? Like when was your heart broken by that?
My heart was broken from Krylon. I would say the first Krylon color that I started to notice that was complete shit was in the mid to late 90s was Sun Yellow Krylon. They came out with Sun Yellow Krylon. It literally was like piss in a can, and I was like, what the fuck's happening to Krylon? And then you would just see colors like, like I'm sure people like Popsicle Orange, but that shit was watery to me too. And you just started seeing it go downhill based on certain colors. Like they came out this pistachio color. It was fucking watery also, and it just started going downhill. It wasn't like what it used to be with like the clover greens and like the hot pinks and even the terracottas that were nice and thick and the bricks and the Spanish
The
browns. And
corals.
yeah. I mean, just there were good colors back in the day, and they just started going to shit. And probably about like the late '90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, that was like probably like one of the biggest things I envy is like everyone that's like older than me got to use Krylon. It looks so good back in the day.
Yeah, totally. And just it was good for from a tip perspective. It didn't skip as much, and you could put phantom tester tips on there and New York fat caps, and it sprayed well. It's just the quality of it wasn't as good. And even we kind of even knew that back in the day. Like even when we were painting trains, like we would try to always fill in with resto. Like we were big on Indian spice and and maple sugar and grape and a lot of those American accent colors. We were really big on filling a lot of those pieces in.
Yeah, yeah, and it seems like a lot of those colors are kind of just like gone now. Like they're disappearing or they discontinued them,
Yeah, totally.
and that's unfortunate because it'd be really cool for them to like bring back a good quality paint and those colors.
Well, they've tried to, right? They're trying to bring back like what was it, like jungle green, or did they also come out with like icy grape or something? And
Yeah, I've
it's
tried
not the
them.
same.
No,
Yeah,
they're
there's
they're not
bullshit.
good at all.
Yeah, no,
They're way
exactly.
too thin.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, the jungle green was somewhat usable. I used it on one of my trains, but I looked at it like not even 3 years later, and the green's already like white. Like it faded
Yeah,
so fast, it's not even worth it.
yeah. Fuck that.
It's like you
Not
might as
worth
well
it.
just buy like Malta or Montana at that point.
Totally, totally.
But yeah, no, it's a trip to like see how much things have changed like over the years, and they're just probably gonna keep changing.
Yep, that's the one thing about life, man. It's never the same one day to the next. So, and that's the same thing with graffiti.
So, do you think that there's like a big disconnect between like a generational gap between younger writers and older writers nowadays?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. Just because of Instagram. I mean, and social media. Like everybody thinks that they can just start doing graffiti without having to like pay dues and kind of start with the basics, like hand styles and throw ups and straight letters and pieces. People kind of just jump to piecing, doing the anti-style stuff, and didn't really kind of pay their dues and understand what the game is about and how there's actually rules to it. Yeah, maybe the rules aren't written, but if you don't understand the rules, then you shouldn't be in the game. Period.
Yeah, for sure, and I definitely agree with that, and I think we see eye to eye on that. Me personally, I didn't. I come from I moved to a place to where like when I actually started painting and like acting on graffiti, very few people were doing it around me, so I didn't really have anyone to bring me up, and everyone that was doing it around me pretty much hated me because I was just new, you know.
Yeah, I mean that's what happens. I mean, everybody's got to start somewhere, but there's right and wrong ways to start. If people asked more like older writers to kind of take them under the wing and kind of teach them things, I mean, most older writers would probably be receptive to that if people do it the right way.
Yeah, I would definitely say so because I didn't get mentors until later when I moved back to Santa Cruz, and I started hanging out with like a lot of the guys from like CTK and YPN and like HC and stuff, and they're the ones that really like pulled me aside and showed me like how to break down my leather structure and how to get my wild style clean and do things the right way. And
Hell
they,
yeah.
they taught me a lot about etiquette. I painted my first strands in Santa Cruz County, and it's all thanks to those guys.
Nice, nice. That's awesome. All right, the wife is calling me, so I gotta head out here in a minute.
All right, for sure. We can go ahead and close this up, but it was a pleasure picking your brain and talking to you and having you answer these questions. I'm sure not only me, but a bunch of other people want the answers too.
Awesome.
Do you want to go ahead and do shout out your homies? Take the floor. Let people know where they can follow you, show you some love.
Yeah, absolutely. So you guys can follow me on Instagram at @aparty_FGS_BA_FU. Want to give shots out to my entire crew from FGS to BA to FU. Just really appreciate everybody that is in the crew and all the support and work that they do. They're all out there doing a lot more work than I am. I am got another kid on the way and 1 2-year-old now, so I'm not getting to paint as much as I can, but I do appreciate my brothers that are out there holding it down. And from East Coast to West Coast, really do send out a lot of love to everybody and everybody that's incarcerated right now for graffiti. I think it's bullshit, so I hope all you guys get out soon, because nobody should be incarcerated for fucking graffiti. It's a fucking joke. So the other thing is just respect the yards, respect your elders, and good things will happen.
All right. Well, thanks for being on the show today. And hopefully we can cross paths later in life, man.
Hell yeah.
I really appreciate talking to you and you sharing your wisdom for all of us. And hopefully we can change the tides of the way the scene is going and maybe influence some people.
Sounds good, homie. I appreciate you having me on here.
All right. You have a good one, man.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye. All right, so that was our interview with Apart, EA, FGS, FU. Next week, we're going to have Motion AD, so be sure to tune in next time. We'll be here next Friday. Have a good one, guys.